Hello and welcome to round 3 of season 2 of the Rookie Cup. We are currently 3 minutes in to the qualifying session. Here we are at Jacarepagua at the Curva Sul layer, and we've been joined in the commentary box by Dr. Bobby Dreyfus.
Yes, I'm Dr. Bobby Dreyfus, and thank you very much for joining us this evening.
And we also have special comments from Brenton Foley.
I don't have a intro that's as exciting as that, but yeah, I'm here.
That's possibly the most exciting intro that's ever happened on Automobilista Australia broadcasts. So, Stairs and Nether, you better lift your game. So,
Rather.
Definitely.
We've had a practice session, and the man we're looking at right now, Steve Bolger, I believe it's Stoieve from round 2, was fastest, setting a 1 minute 26.0, I believe, and this lap is looking like a good one. 26.3, so he's currently sitting fastest with Ads sitting in P2. So he's looking quite handy around here. Obviously, I haven't seen him for a little while. I don't believe he attended the last round off the top of my head, or if he did, he didn't do too much of note. And we've got Brendon Ross, the championship leader, and obviously taking both wins. It's a Borough. Going off the road there, he's currently in P3 at the moment on a 26.9.
Yeah, some rather smashing sector times there from Mr. Bolger. He's currently just over 2/10 away from his practice time, and looking in good shape to continue in qualifying. Yes.
Yes, as we saw in in previous round, he was the man to beat in both qualifying sessions. Had obviously a couple rough races that sent him back through the field, but we'll be hoping to rectify that here this evening. He's already 10th up on his current time in the mid. Well, I believe that's the first sector split. No, that was the third sector split. Second, I should say. There we go. Second sector split. So he's about to exit the final turn. And what will he do? He improves to a 1:26 dead. So I do believe that's a personal best.
It is. His practice time was a 1:26.1.
So
Yes, he's precisely 1/10 of a second quicker than he previously went.
thank you for that statistical analysis, Mr. Dreyfus. As
Rather.
Ads practices his pit entry. It's a tight.
We have Brendon Ross currently on a very stonking lap. He's set the fastest time through the second sector or first sector. I can't keep up.
Got very wide through the final turn there, but he can carry a bit of speed through that final turn on the entry, and he's pulled it up. But his lap time must have got a track cut somewhere, because didn't actually come up on the screen there. So you see he goes through turn 1 there. His rear left wheel getting a bit of air time. That's why a bit of smoke was appearing off that off the back of his car there. And he'll be looking to improve. Currently 2.5 tenths behind Ads as the car locks up in front of Ross there. And in fact the yellow flags are out. And well, Ross is currently almost 2 tenths up. So what can you do in this middle sector? See, this corner here is flat. And this one here, you do want to take a bit of a later apex, which I believe he's done. He's got on the power a little bit too early there and he's ran wide. That could be a possible track cut, but we'll see. Well, he's given that lap up. So we'll move forward. Ads is leaving the pits. Bulges looks like he's content with his lap, and we've got a... Well, we've gone to Big Doog, who has returned. It's good to see the Big Doog back. As runs wide in the penultimate turn and locks a break into the final. And, well... He's decided to abort that lap after making a mistake on the exit of the final turn. So we'll jump and we'll follow Mike Coulson for a lap. He's begun his lap. He's currently down in 5th place on the 27.975. He's just shy, 10th shy of his personal best in practice. He'll be looking to improve. Nice, neat and tidy through turn 2, but he's well, 3 tenths off his personal best, so obviously didn't carry enough speed at the entry, or he made a mistake at turn 1 that we just missed. And he's got traffic in front of me, or in front of him I should say, who I believe is Glenn Miles in the 69 Mini Cooper. Well, he's sort of matched his best middle sector there, so not too bad. Looked pretty good through the penultimate turn, but looks like Glenn Miles is in front of him. Hopefully he doesn't block him. Might get a bit of cancer from the bit of smoke there. But otherwise alright, runs wide, the final turn. What can he do? Does he improve? No, he's well off. So that last corner there cost him a fair amount of time.
Just going by the times we've seen lodged so far in the session, it does look as though that the race will be split into a series of groups, with some drivers many tenths ahead of other drivers, and others as 2 or 3 within 2 or 3 tenths of each other, coincidentally.
So obviously after Steve, there's probably a gap, or Stoieve, there's probably 3 or 4 cars that are quite capable of sort of mixing it up with each other and could finish anywhere. And then there's probably a little bit of a gap behind them to the other couple of cars. As we see, who is that? Car 13, that is Shane Witt getting in all kinds of sideways in the penultimate turn. So we see Ads come through the final turn. Can he improve on his 26.6? He doesn't. 5 tenths off.
Seems like Bolger has them all covered in the second sector. That's where he seems to be gaining on them.
Yeah, looking at the sector times, although Shane Witt has just moved up to P3, and his middle sector there is only 2 tenths off Steve Bolger's.
Yeah.
So
he's been the closest to him.
He did drop 4 tenths in the final sector, and he dropped 3 tenths in the first. See Mike Coulson off screen improve, but we'll follow Shane Witt, currently P3. Well, less than half a tenth of his PB, 2 tenths off the pole time, or provisional.
We've just had an individual in the chat on the live stream ask us which version of the track we are running here tonight, and I can confirm Coops Wah that we are in fact running at the Curva Sul track. Yes. Unless I'm greatly confused, in which case, I apologize. Yes.
I believe that is the version you're using. As you see, Shane Witt have a bit of a spin and, well, a bit of panel damage to the front of that lime green Cooper. So you see Ads sort of messing up his pit entry there.
It's like Brendon Ross is on a good lap as well.
He's 5/10 up. He's half a tenth off the pole time at the moment. He's ran a little bit wide through the penultimate turn. That's probably cost him a bit of time. Should he not bowl it at the final turn, he will improve on his own time. But yeah, I think that penultimate turn there's cost him too much time to rectify at the final turn. Runs wide again. A few guys have done that. What's he going to set? He's going to set... Yeah, he's lost 9/10 of a second in that final sector, and he lost half a second on his to his own time there. So yeah, those last couple of corners killed him there as he's ran wide at turn 1 there and clipped the barrier. So I think this lap's probably going to be a write-off for him. So
very limited time for anybody to get back out there and improve their time, although we do have several cars on track who have recently begun a lap. It does look as though Steve Bolger, or Bolger, is rather safe at the top of the field.
yes, Stoieve looking like he's got pole position in the bag, although that said, if Brendon Ross can, as he leaves the pits, this will probably be his final run, if he can get that final sector right, he could give him a bit of a scare, but he's got to, once again, he's got to refocus and sort of match what he did on that previous time lap of his.
So only 2 cars out on track currently.
Right, that's Shane Witt and I believe we've got more than that because we've got Shane Witt, Ads, and we've got Brendon Ross. So go through. Yep, they're the only 3 on track, and they're the only 3 now that will be able to set a lap time. Everyone else currently in the pits. Who's close? I see Ads is closest to starting a lap, so we'll follow him first.
I believe Shane Witt was the first across the line to begin their final lap.
Yes, he is. My mistake, but he's aborted his lap immediately. So obviously he didn't get turn 1 the way he liked, and he's
The
just
pressure too great for the young man, yes.
possibly so. So we've got Ads. What can Ads do here? So right on board with him. Down 2 gears into turn 2. That's going to cost him a lot of time. You want to be staying in 4th gear for that turn. And he's ran wide for turn 3. So this lap's already junk. So we'll cut back to Brendon Ross and see what he manages.
Just coming through the first corner now, I believe.
Yep. He's had to lift there, and he's almost clipped the tyre barrier on the right there, so not an optimal turn 1. Very committed for turn 2. Did downshift to 3. I find keeping it in 4th is the better of the option, but he uses obviously to slow down, and he's up on his PB and a 10th up.
Who runs rather wide there, but does seem to have kept the momentum going.
Slight lift through that turn there, which will cost him a little bit. He's down 2 gears for this turn. You want to be only going down to 3rd, then he's ran wide, so he's wrecked that lap. He's got the pace in it. He does have the pace in him to challenge Steve, but he's just got to put it all together. But alright, so we'll just go to the final classifications for qualifying for everybody. We'll run through it for you. So we've got obviously Stoieve Bolger on provisional pole position. We've got Ads doing a great job in P2. Shane Witt in P3. Brendon Ross, who could have been P2, is in P4. And we've got the Big Duke in P5. Mike Coulston, P6. Brian Walsh, P7. And Glenn Miles in P8. We'll be back back after a short break. Obviously, I have to go through a driver's briefing, but yeah, we'll be back after that, and hopefully we have a action-packed race one for you. Hello and welcome back to round 3 of the Automobilista Australia Rookie Cup from Jacarepagua in Brazil. They're currently running the Curva Sul layout of the circuit. We've been through the driver's briefing, we've had qualifying, and we've got 1 minute 20 until obviously the session ticks over and we begin racing. We've been joined by Oz Rob during the warm-up, so he's doing his first laps of the track, I believe. Currently a bit off the pace of some of the other runners, but he'll be hoping to get up to pace pretty quickly. So, Dr. Dreyfus, who do you see as obviously the podium getters for this race?
Yes, well, rather likely at the moment would be the top 3 in qualifying, as they have shown that they have the pace over 1 lap. Though history would dictate that that may not be the case, yes. As last time, I believe it was Steve Bolger, who went very quickly in qualifying and then struggled during the races, yes. So, in effect, I have no idea.
Well, that is the
Carry on.
That is the nature of the Rookie Cup. We've seen some dominant performances, and we've also seen some crazy races and results. So probably do hope for the latter here. Wouldn't mind a mixed up order once again. Certainly
I
does.
believe once when I was briefed on this dalliance into the world of commentary, that I was briefed and told once you had a car fly into the freaking crowd. Yes.
Yes, that is true. At the previous circuit in last season, when obviously the rookies drove the Mitsubishi Lancer Rs. Yeah, we'd had I think it was Luke Joyner, I believe, end up in the grandstands and getting airtime and killed approximately 45 spectators, and another 35 were injured. So it was a fair effort.
Well, if they don't have any health plans in Ecuador, I believe it was, then they will have made some great money in the hospitals, which my family obviously owns.
Yep, so that's well, quite profitable on your behalf, but quite devastating, obviously, for the Rookie Cup. And Luke Joyner, I believe, does have some PTSD from that incident. But we're just about to get underway now. I believe all drivers are on the grid. Now we're just waiting for the officials to get this formation lap underway. And as you can see, it is all going off, so we'll cycle through the cameras. And in fact, they are now underway with Steve Bolger pole position. And we've got Ads doing a fantastic job once again. P2, Shane Wick, P3.
Appears to still be in the pit lane.
He does. Ads has missed the start. He had plenty of time to get back, so hopefully he...
unlike other certain individuals, doesn't cross that line. He's crossed that bloody line!
And, well, I believe that might be a race restart in order. And a telling off for that, I believe, Dr. Dreyfus.
Yes, a rather appalling action to take there, really.
We had the same issue happen last night in the Formula 1 series. Can't remember who it was, but there was a driver that did do that, and there was even one in the supercar. So that's 3 consecutive races where someone has missed the starting grid and has driven out onto the circuit once the formation lap is underway. So those that are watching...
Oh crap, I meant to be restarting.
Yes, you are. But yes, for those that are watching and do participate in the series, yes, if you do miss the start and the formation lap, you cannot cross the pit lane exit line. Otherwise, you will get you get disqualified. It won't be a penalty. You'll be flat out disqualified. So you have to wait until the red lights turn to green, and then you can cross the pit lane exit line and you'll be good to race. But
As rather typically, we also don't restart the races if one makes such a grave mistake.
yes, so that will be, I think from this race onwards here at Automobilista Australia, I believe there will be no more restarts for such events. So, because obviously it has happened in pretty much every series now, it's almost not possible. Well, it is possible in the WEC series, but yeah, obviously for those that are racing, consider that a warning that in future, missing the start and getting yourself disqualified by driving the exit of the pits, you will be disqualified from that race. So please remember to not cross the pit lane line while it is red.
It's generally red till the field has finished the first sector as well.
Once the once the leader hits the first sector line, that is when the lights will go green. So at some tracks it's not too much of a disadvantage, but at a track like say Bathurst, where it's 52 seconds approximately in a supercar, it is absolutely monumental penalty for missing the start. So in future, please make the start, or don't get yourself disqualified. Okay, so now back onto the actual start now. We've got Steve Bolger, or Stoieve, on pole position. He's joined by Ads on the front row. We've got Shane Witt in P3. Brendon Ross could have been better in qualifying, but couldn't quite put the final sector together. He starts P4. The big dude in P5. Mike Coulston, P6. Brian Walsh, P7. Glenn Miles, P8. And Ozrob, who showed up in the warm-up, he is at the back in P9. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes, considering he's only done, I believe, the only 2 or 3 laps he did in the warm-up are the only laps he's driven. So hopefully he doesn't wipe out anybody at the race start and ruin people's races that have practiced.
And we do rather apologise for our co-commentator's sound effects. He does seem to be rather congested.
Indeed he does.
No comment from Mr. Foley.
What's this?
Just stare at him and make him feel uncomfortable.
It's working.
So, just about to get underway. Unlike 2 light. Green. Looks like Ad's got a decent start there. He got it initially, jumped away a little bit quicker than Steve. Will he hold that line into P2? He does, and he's going to take the lead. It looks like Brendon Ross is going to try and get P2, but he can't quite get it done.
Looking for any possible way that he can capitalise there, although he has now tucked in behind Steve Bolger. We have a car in the background going for a move. That's Brian Walsh, I say. Up the inside rather spiffingly of Big Dog.
This Big Dog's had a poor start. He's down 2 positions, and Brian Walsh up to 6th, and Mike Coulston up to 5th. So both of them taking advantage of the Big Dog's poor start. And Ads finds himself in the lead. So you see Mike Coulston in the background getting a little bit wide there. Oh, and it's a poor exit from Ads.
There's rather a large quantity of smoke on the exit of that corner from a few of the cars in the top 4.
Yes, it's well, in the initial part of the corner, it'll be obviously the brake sucking up a little bit, but I believe most of the smoke is due to the offloaded rear tyre just clipping the ground. And
I say, we have Brian Walsh looking for a way through on Mike Goulston as well.
And Brendon Ross is off at turn 1 again. Or not turn 1, at the final turn, which is Victoria. Yes, Brian Ross is looking very racy at the start. He's right on the back of Mike Coulston. He's having a look. Brakes late. Coulston gives him space. So Brian Walsh up to P5. So he's had a cracking start.
It's a stonking great move there, old chap, yes.
And field, well, it's fairly close at the moment. No one's really the leaders haven't really broken too far ahead. Although that's, oh, as you see, I believe that's, yeah, Brian Walsh all kinds of sideways at turn 2, or Sul. Coming up
A little bit wide and giving Coulston a look around the outside, which appears to have paid off.
Coulston, yeah, all around the outside, on the grass a little bit at Garau, and now he's ran wide and compromised himself, and then, oh, he's cut in front of Brian Walsh there. A bit naughty, and now the big dude's having a look at Brian Walsh. That's still currently.
Well, we've got somebody off in the background. I hate to interrupt you. We have Glenn Miles, who's gone spearing rapidly off the track, and who's very fortunate.
It looks
to
like
have not had it sustain much more damage than what he has.
He does have. Oh, as you see, Big Dog running it wide there. I believe Glenn Miles does have a bit of damage to the front right.
Oh yes, he's struggling now. He's off again. He's run wide through that left-hand corner.
Stick to this battle between Big Dog, Brian Walsh, and Mike Coulston.
We've got Bolger looking up the inside of ads at turn 1.
And Miles has come into the pits
and he's made it stick.
To repair some of that damage and perhaps get his car looking less like Owen Wilson's nose. Yes.
Well, ads has got a better run out of turn 1 though. He's slightly faster than Bolger. He's on side by side through Sul. That's right on board Shane. He's got the best view of it. Bolger slowed up a little bit. That's given Ads a chance for the switchback, but he's on the outside for turn 3, and he goes around the outside, takes it. That's a fantastic manoeuvre to take the lead. Fantastic driving from Ads there. That is one of the best overtakes we've had at Automobilista Australia I'd say this year. That one didn't give up the lead. We did give up the lead, but fought back to regain it there. So fantastic effort, and that battle in the background as Bolger continues to harry Ads. Brian Walsh has found his way back up.
Oh, Brendon Ross, I hate to cut you off there, good man. Brendon Ross has run off the track.
Yes, he has, but he's still not too far away from that his front 3. But he's been wildly inconsistent. He's got lap time or lap speed in him, but he just doesn't put it all together. He's
got Brian Walsh back up into 5th place as well.
Yes, he's having a good drive at the moment.
And Glenn Miles, despite pitting for damage, has got back onto the track and is continuing on.
And I believe Brian Walsh's lap time there, I believe that's just about yes, it is his personal best lap time for any practice session or qualifying. So he's in fine form at the moment as Ads continues to lead out front. Although, Bolger getting a little bit sideways there. And now Ads has got to sort of watch for the little dive to turn 3, which he does. And looks like as we go back, Brian Walsh is starting to put a little bit of a gap on Coulston a little bit. So he'll be hoping to continue this pace, sort of break away from Coulston a little bit. I don't think he's quite got the pace to catch those in front, but he can get a very solid P5 should he keep it on the road and maintain his current speed. And, Steve having a look up the inside of the final turn. Looks like he's going to go. No, he backs out of it. So we see Ads understeer on the badly for the final turn, and looks like Steve's going to probably take him into turn 1 here. But you don't exactly want to be on the inside for this corner. It does compromise you into turn 2. So you're right back on board with Ads. You should have a better exit, and Shane Witt's got a better exit than all of them. And on that last lap, Brendon Ross setting the fastest lap of the race with the 1 minute 26. Yeah, so I believe it was a 1 minute 26.8. All those in front of him, well, the two leaders, 127.2 and a 127.3 respectively.
The 3 behind this lead pack have not spread out as much as we originally thought, with Coulson actually closing back in on Walsh. But they have settled down rather a bit and look to just be focusing on making it through this early stage of the race.
Yeah, so it will be interesting. The tyre wear is quite high here. Obviously, turn 2 is a tyre killer, but there's a lot of high load corners here, so it will be interesting to see what people do strategy-wise.
It's a mandatory pit stop in this race.
Yes, there's as in all Rookie Cup races, there's a mandatory pit stop with a minimum, change a minimum of 2 tyres, I should say. So Ads is looking to make a move into turn 1. Takes the tighter line, once again side by side with Bolger. Bolger's probably going to get a better exit, and he does get the better exit. And it looks like Ross behind him, he's got a great exit and looking to move up to P3 here. Probably should get that position as Ads looks at the race leader at Bolger. As Bolger runs wide, so that pressure from Ads has led to a mistake from our pole getter, Stoieve Bolger, and Ads takes the lead, and Brendon Ross moves up to P2. Drivers were warned in the briefing to try and make overtakes into turn 2, but they've not really listened. But that said, they've not made contact into there. That was a mistake there from Bolger, and he'll be looking to get back onto the back of this pack.
Just looking further back once again, we've had Coulston run a little bit wide out of one corner. He's dropped back to just over a second behind Brian Walsh, and now has Big Dog racing him rather aggressively.
Yes, the Big Dog, as you see. We've got Stoieve, and we do have Mike Coulston into the pits. So we're right on board Mike Coulston, showing just how tight the pit entry is. Chicanes and barriers everywhere, and there's the pit lane line. 60 kilometres per hour is the pit limit. So let's see. Looks like just front tyres for Stoieve, and just front tyres for Mike. So the Big Dog was pressuring, obviously, Mike Coulston quite a bit, and probably would have made a pass sooner rather than later, as we see Shane Witt getting on the grass there at turn 2. That's not the optimal line, as we see. Ooh, Ads run wide, and looks like Ross trying to make an aggressive move into there, and that's cost him a bit of time. So
you see Witt go up the inside. Has he been able to pull that move off? I can't quite. No, he has not.
No, he's not. He's backed out of it. So very sensible is Shane Witt. Hasn't been overly aggressive, and then obviously into turn 2 we saw him back out, and he's got his pit crew are getting ready, and fronts are going to continue. So Shane Witt obviously looking to pit. He'll want to be staying in front of Stoieve Bolger. And Stoieve was looking at the middle sector. Well, he hasn't quite crossed it yet. Looking at live timing, but he has now, so it would be very close between those two. As Shane drops. No, Shane's changed both tyres, so Shane is...
Oh, I say, I do apologise. Big Dog coming out of the first corner is slammed into the wall.
Very easy to do there. These being front-wheel drive cars, if you get on the power too early, that tyre barrier there on the exit will catch you out if you're not watching yourself, or if your front tyres are too worn. So he's giving himself some damage. And yes, Shane Witt has dropped behind both Mike Coulston as Coulston runs off the road at turn 1, and well, he himself hits the barrier by the look of it. So Shane Witt...
we've had Bolger set the fastest middle sector and a following pretty quick third sector on his outlap.
So he'll be very close to those front two if they're not pitting this lap. But what cost Shane Witt there was he replaced all 4 tyres, which is a bit of a... Well, you don't need to do that, it's not required. And Ads continues, as does Brendon Ross. And Ross has dropped a fair bit behind Ads this lap. He's dropped a second. He did 28.6, so he'll probably end up behind Stoieve Bolger.
That contact with the wall for Big Dog doesn't appear to have caused him any real issues as he's continued for another lap, as has Brian Walsh and Oz Rob.
Just getting the lights out. See Glenn Miles right in front of him.
Bolger again, just a couple of hundredths shy of the fastest middle sector.
He set the fastest lap, 26.468, and the last lap for Ads was a 27.5. So he did have about 3 seconds on Bolger, but it will be very, very tight between those two. Should Ads only pit and replace one set of either the front or back tyres, not both.
Very interested to see how the strategies play out for our battle further back in the field as well, with Coulston coming in much earlier than Walsh or Big Dog, who are still continuing on their initial set of tyres.
Well, Coulston made a mistake. We did cut back to it. He made a mistake into turn 1, so that would have cost him a bit of time.
Oh, and they are now in the pits. It looks as though Oz Rob has continued on.
Yes.
We have Brian Walsh and Big Dog entering the pit lane.
So everybody pitting at the moment. Bolger is coming around box, or the penultimate corner. And Ads is getting underway. So Ads only changed the front tyres. And Bolger is coming around the final turn. So this is going to be very, 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 very tight. So we now right on board Stoieve Bolger. And there he is. There's Ads. He and Steve Bolger's going to, well, he's going to take that position quite comfortably now. And there's a 26.6 for Stoieve. He sort of mucked up there a little bit. And that's going to give Ads probably a decent run at him to turn 2. And Ross on his in-lap was significantly faster than Ads.
Big Dog has rejoined just behind behind Brian Walsh, so he remains behind him.
Yes, Walsh and Coulston, as Walsh exited the pit there, they were very, very close in that first corner. But Walsh has come out ahead, and will currently be thinking, I am superior, like a man, yes.
Well, he's going to have much better tyres than Coulston, so that mistake on at turn 1 2 laps ago has cost him quite a bit, because now he's got Shane Witt right behind him. He's got Big Doo just behind Shane Witt, and he's behind Brian Walsh. So, as he always wide,
run wide there.
well, that's cost him both. He makes a little bit of contact with the Big Doo, but yes, he's lost all those positions. We see Shane Witt having a look at Brian Walsh. Walsh locks
We've
up.
also had Ads go in front of Bolger at the front.
Yes, we
which
have.
We've
missed that as we're looking at the battle between Big Dog, Big Dog, Shane Witt, and Brian Walsh. Brian Walsh going off the road there at box. Hopefully he's not picked up any damage. Looking at his car, he's got a little bit of... No, I don't believe he's got any damage, thankfully. But he'll be very frustrated because he was having a fantastic run there in P5. So once again, Ads takes the lead. We obviously missed it with our cameras. We might have to go back and have a look.
While you're quickly looking for that, it'll be rather interesting towards the end of this race for Brian Walsh, whose tyres are the same age as Big Dog's and much newer than Mr. Coulston's. So you'd think he'd be able to get back past Coulston towards the end of the race, but Big Dog could be an entirely different question.
So there it is. We saw it on the replay into, well, the entry to the penultimate corner at box, the one that they're coming up to now. Stoieve getting it onto the grass on the entry and sort of lost the back end of it a little bit, ran wide, lost all his speed, and then obviously Ads went straight round him. As we see, looks like Ross. He's looking to go around the outside of the final turn.
We also have Oz Rob in the pits, so he will relinquish the lead to Ads.
He does, and well, Ross he's held around the outside at the final turn. I don't know how he's done it, but he has. And it looks like Stoive's going to have a look into... No, he's pulled out of it. Or has he? No, he's sat behind Ross there, and Ross has got a better run. Ross has done a fantastic job to get himself back into contention after making a couple mistakes throughout this race. So if he had been a bit cleaner, he probably would be leading. But yeah, just those one or two niggles as he gets it sideways through turn 2. But what were you going to say there, Mr. Dreyfus?
Oh, well, we have Shane Witt currently ahead of this group that was fighting earlier further down the field. It looks as though he is unable to break away from Big Dog, who, as I say, that runs slightly wide. But the gap remaining in the low 1 second area, about 1.1 seconds at the moment, and dropping between that and about 0.8.
Sorry to cut you off. Bolger's just given Brendon Ross a little tap and has slowed up on the infield, but kept it going. So Bolger's lost a lot of time in that.
I say you'll be hearing from my lawyers if that happens again.
Yes, he has dropped. He's now 3.2 seconds behind Ross. So we've seen in qualifying and in practice he's almost, well, he is untouchable. He's got even close to Pro A pace, certainly Pro B pace, but you get him in a race and whether he's too conservative or too aggressive, he just seems to find ways to drop through the field. And, yeah, he's 3.5 seconds behind Ross. Shane Witt, 11.5 behind him. Brian Walsh, he's slowly making his way back towards Mike Coulston again. There's Coulston runs wide at turn 1 there. Walsh gets it a little sideways. And they've got Ozrob right behind him. So we've got everyone's currently running so far. I don't believe we've had a race where everyone's finished yet, so hopefully
The leaders are side by side. Sorry to cut you off.
that's
Brendon Ross up the inside.
cut to it now. Oh, he's given a little bit of a touch towards Ads there, and he's going to run wide. So thanks for that. Wouldn't want to miss a change for the lead, which we often seem to do, unfortunately. But as you see, Ads get a little bit sideways. Ads seems to be working his front tyres a lot more than everybody else out there, from what I've seen.
I say, Big Dog's run wide, but only a little bit, and now he's back on track.
We've also got Ozrob has been chipping away, getting used to these cars, and is now on the back of Brian Walsh.
Walsh not seeming to have the speed that he had at the start of the race.
So you see Ross all over the back of Ads at the moment. Ads has got 3 laps to hold on.
Bolger has lost it at
Turn 1. He's lost it at
turn
turn
1.
1. Yeah, and well, Shane Witt's too far behind, so it's not going to get him. So really, we've got a battle for probably 6th place. It's pretty hot, and we've got a battle for the lead that is pretty hot. Ross has been inconsistent, while Ads has done a fantastic job, although probably not driving it as good as he could with the way he absolutely rips those front tyres to shreds. Oh, as he locks up, that's going to give Ross an opportunity into box. Doesn't go defensive, which is surprising. They're going to go side by side. Ross breaks late, but Ads gets him on the switchback. Now he's going to have to hold on, and he does. Fantastic. Ads is, well, he uses his tyres up quite a bit, but he's a fantastic wheel-to-wheel racer. Or at least he's shown so much in this race anyway. We see retaking the lead off Stoieve earlier in the race, and then once again retaking the lead off Ross after his slight mistake at the La Goya turn. So we'll just cut back further down the field. So we've got Ozrob and Walshy battling it out.
Yes, Ozrob seems to be currently unable to make the move on Brian Walsh, who's having an excellent drive, although does appear to be lacking the speed that he had in the early stages.
Yes, but he's remained consistent. Obviously, he did make that slight mistake when he was running in P5, but I think he can take quite a bit from this this race so far. much more consistent than what we've usually seen him, and it's a good sign, hopefully for the future, that he can hopefully carry this consistency forward and pick up some nice results.
It's not often do we see him go on the attack, which we did quite a lot in the early stages of the race. Many passing manoeuvres and moving around quite a lot in his opponent's mirrors.
And well, he's not given up on getting P6 either. He's closing in on Mike Coulston. And Big Dog isn't too far down the road either.
Although he has dropped off from Shane Witt. There's a few mistakes, minor ones that I have seen, have just cost him a little. As Mike Coulston has gone very wide there, that'll give Walsh a big go at him.
Walsh, he's having a look. He's gone deep. He's pulled it up. He's got it. So obviously he did come from a long way back, but that slight mistake there. And Walsh has thought, stuff it, I'm going to go for it. And he did. Come from a fair way back, pulled it up. I don't believe there was any contact.
We have Brendon Ross up the inside at turn 2 for the lead.
I think you need to add some more excitement when saying these things, young man.
He's made it stick.
He has. He's gone, once again, he's downshifted. And if he had stayed in 4th there, would have given him a good run for this turn 3. Girao. But stopped.
Oh, I say, Big Dog has gone off at the second corner, and that has allowed Brian Walsh through into 5th place once again.
And Ross, he's ran wide at Lagoya, and Ads is right back onto the back of him now. So Ross has got to hold on for a lap and change here, but he's run wide again. That's going to give Ads, or it looked like he's going to run wide, but he's held onto it. He's actually put a little bit of a gap on Ads there. As he turns on the lights, looks like they're coming up to Glen Miles. As Ads takes a bit more entry speed through the final turn, and he's gained a significant amount of time.
We've just had Coulston off, and that has allowed Big Dog back through into 7th place. Now trying to chase down Oz Rob.
So we've got 1 lap to go. Ads having a look into turn 1. Ross takes the wider line. Ads thinks stuff, but I'm just going to stick it up there. And
Coulston around the outside at the final corner. That's never going to work, but he's had a very valiant effort.
Yes, but we'll just stick for this battle for the lead at the moment. As looks like Ozrob and Big Dog battling it out. So one slows it down. Ross runs wide. Adds they're side by side. Who breaks the latest? Adds. Does he pull it up? There is slight contact. Adds off the road. That's going to cost him 2nd. It probably is going to cost him 3rd as well. Or 2nd, I should say. So that probably will give Ross the win there. Just couldn't pull it up. Broke too late for Girao, or turn 3. And now he's dropped back. And Ross has got a comfortable lead. And now can Ads hold on for P2.
Further down the field, we still have Oz Rob all over the back of Brian Walsh, looking to get into the top 5 on his Rookies Cup debut. Yes.
So Ross is about to cross the line. He takes race 1, round 3, so that's 3 in a row for him. And Ads, probably a bit unlucky not to win this one. Couple minor mistakes. But,
defensive move there from Walsh in the final corner. Looks as though that's paid off for him.
It has paid off, and he's going to take home P5. Well deserved, it has to be said, P5. He's raced very well. Only really that one slight mistake that dropped him behind the group that he just finished in front of. But fantastic race from him, as he's about to get absolutely smashed by Big Dog there. So
but to no avail.
So the final order, as we see everybody, well, most of the field doing reverse doze except for Mike Coulston, who's ripped the front wheel off. So the order was Brendon Ross taking 3 wins in a row. He had Ads P2, obviously fantastic racecraft. It was just a shame he couldn't quite hold onto it there at the end. And Stoieve Bolger, he's obviously got things he needs to work on. Fantastically fast, but just can't quite put it together during the races at the moment. Shane Witt, P4. He could have been much higher up if he hadn't have changed all tyres at his pit stop. Brian Walsh, fantastic P5 for him. And Osrob, obviously, as the race got on, he got more laps under him. Was obviously came good. He finished P6. Big Joe P7. He'll be a bit disappointed. He was up as high as 5th, I believe, at a couple points, but couldn't quite hold on. Mike Coulston, P8. He was up and down. Obviously, those from 5th to 8th, they sort of battled it out. Hello and welcome back to qualifying for race 2, round 3 of the Rookie Cup. As we took a break between the race session and, well, the qualifying session, we had obviously a bit of a chat between ourselves, and the director made a bit of a mistake by muting some of the chat that was going on. But we went through our drivers of race 1. So, Dr. Dreyfus, we'll go to you once again. Who was your driver of race 1?
Yes, well, my selection for the driver of race 1 was Brendon Ross, who showed a vast improvement over his misfortunes in season 1, where he'd be in a position to win and then wouldn't. For this reason, he is my driver of the day.
And,
or at least the first half of the day, anyway, yes.
Yes. And
Yes.
so our other commentator, Mr. Foley, who was your driver of race 1?
My driver of race 1 was similar to Dr. Bobby Dreyfus's in that Brendon Ross, after his struggles in qualifying, not being able to nail a lap, his consistency paid off during the race to get him the win, but also credit to Brian Walsh for having a great battle throughout the race and just keeping consistent.
Yep. For me personally, I had went left field and I went Brian Walsh as my driver of race 1. Obviously, he's been around Automobilista since the start. I believe was the first member, and he's often been a little bit off the pace, and his races have been marred by errors. But we saw in obviously race 1 there, very consistent, and aside from one slight error, pretty much a faultless race for him. And obviously at the start he made up a couple spots, and then obviously after his mistake, after the pit stops, he had to fight his way back from 7th back to 5th, and some consistent driving and a fantastic overtake of Mike Coulson into the final turn, and he got that. He earned P5, and he certainly deserved it. As we are now underway, we're getting lap times in with Brendon Ross currently going to the top of the time sheets.
Just another quick word on Brian Walsh. He, of late, has been competing in less of the series with his marvellous group runs to focus on the ones he prefers. And I believe today is the first of what I hope is a continued trend where that work begins to pay off.
Yes, well, I think that's something. I think a couple drivers probably need to, just focus on 1 or 2 series, just so they can get a bit of consistency. As you see, Ross run wide, but he's up by 3/10. But yeah, going back to what I was saying is that perhaps I think some drivers probably need to just focus on 1 or 2 series where they put their main efforts in and put a lot of laps in, and to find that consistency, because I think for a lot of people, jumping in and out of different cars and series and going around different tracks, it can be quite disruptive trying to learn a new car, a new track every couple days. So Ross coming through the final turn. Shane Witt has gone P1, 4/10 up, and Ross, it's only 8/1000th of a second, or 8,000th of a second behind Shane Witt.
It'd be interesting to see if Shane Witt learns from his strategy mistakes in race 1.
Yeah, it'll be. I can't imagine he'll make the same mistake twice, considering it cost him a good 15 to 16 seconds in the pits. As we see Steve Bolger currently on a lap. He's up on his own time. PB middle sector, but his first sector was a good half a second off, I believe.
Yes, Mr. Bolger, in fact, has set the fastest middle sector of the session so far out of all our drivers.
Pretty much exactly the same as the fastest middle sector he did during the race just before.
So he's got that middle sector down pat, but we'll be hoping to nail the first sector quite a bit. That's where he's lost a significant amount of time currently in the session. He's a couple tenths down in the final sector as well. But obviously we have seen he's very good at qualifying, so we'll probably see him back up there in no time as he gets it nice and sideways at turn 2.
With the track condition resetting between the first race and now as well, it'll be an adjustment that these drivers have to make in order to get their qualifying performance that they are expecting. Yes,
that is a very good point. Obviously the track is not as rubbered up as what it is after a full 1 hour practice session. So it's all about finding your feet again. As Steve 2/10 up in his own time, 10th and a half down on Shane Witt, but as we saw, he lost a bit of time in the final sector last time around. He'll be hoping to improve on it this time.
another excellent middle sector from him though.
Yes, he's got that middle sector down pat, pretty much matched his time the previous lap. Did go slightly faster. And, well, he found 3/10 there in the final sector, and finds himself less than a tenth of a second of Shane Witt, but he still finds himself in P3. They're currently 5/10 in front of the big dog. As we cut to him. As I believe that was Foley bashing his head on the refrigerator in the background there. And again, he's not too happy.
I think that's someone outside. I'll get that sorted in a sec.
I say you have a killer after you.
I believe that is true. So
I believe that killer may have succeeded. Oh well.
yes,
Brian Walsh not able to continue his pace from the first race in the early stages of this second qualifying session.
always be cost to him as he runs into the barrier. I believe at turn 1. Yes.
Confidence may be key in racing, but it can also be a grave weakness if one gets too confident.
Yes, perhaps just a little bit out of the rhythm, but he probably wasn't too happy with his qualifying efforts in practice, or in the first qualifying session, I should say. So perhaps qualifying isn't quite his thing, as you see Ross run very wide in the final corner there. So perhaps he's just wants to get a decent lap in qualifying, but he'll probably be looking to continue that consistency in the race once again. So our first 2 runners, Bolger and Witt, currently in the pits. Ross is just beginning another lap. He'll be hoping to find a couple tenths now. He's now a few tenths behind Bolger, who's on to P1.
We have Oz Rob in 5th place, obviously not having any real track time with these cars before the actual warm-up session for the previous race, and currently in 5th place, just over a second behind Bolger in first. Appears to have got to grips with the cars, and will be hoping to have another strong race and continue to improve.
He certainly will, as we follow the big dude.
We may have been joined by Brendan Foley's killer. Killer, are you there?
That's right, I survived. I'm all good. Sorry to
for
disappoint.
this rather anticlimactic turn of events.
Just on Ozrob, that was that's his fastest lap of the night as well. So second faster than what he was in race 1 and in practice and in the qualifying before it.
Obviously, during the race, he wouldn't have, when he finally started getting the grips of these cars and tracks, he wouldn't have had fresh tyres, and he would have had more fuel on board. So he's probably wondering why he's got, or probably surprised by how much grip he has compared to what he had in the race. But he'll probably still want to improve quite a bit. Obviously, he races in the LMP cars in the WEC series, and seems to be handling himself alright in that, but he'll probably want to move up a spot or 2 in the coming 4.5 minutes. And now, got Steve Bolger back out there on track. He's about to begin another lap. He's obviously not happy with his 1 minute 26.3.
About to begin his first flying lap of this run, rather.
So right on board with him as you see. Ooh, he runs very wide on the exit of turn 1, so that's already probably compromised his lap there. See, for those wondering, this was a Grand Prix circuit back in the 1980s. Obviously not this exact layout, but it's a bit of a longer version that they did use before obviously it was replaced by a much more popular and in my opinion much better circuit for Formula 1 cars anyway, Interlagos circuit. So Bolger coming through Lagoa, and he's 4 tenths down. Obviously lost a bit of time on turn 1 there. It's nice and smooth through box. Brakes fairly late, but could probably brake later there for the final turn. Vittoria.
We have Shane Witt just exiting the pits to go have another go soon. Same with Brendon Ross now.
Yeah, so all the top 3 are pretty much occupying all the same bit of track. As Bolger gets a bit sideways there, not taking the optimal line at turn 1 there, so I reckon he'll be down again here.
We've just had Oz Rob move into 4th place ahead of Big Dog with a 26.9. Sorry, the Big Dog doing a 27.2. He'll be looking to get back into that 4th place and onto the 2nd row of the grid.
Yes, I don't believe that is Big Dog's fastest time, so he'll have to go even faster. You see Bolger 5 tenths down on his own time with Ross all over the back of him after he's exited the pit. So we'll cut back to someone else. We'll follow Oz Rob for a lap. So he's pretty much matched his personal best in the first sector. What can he do here in the middle sector? Right on board. Down into 3rd gear. Turns in late. Solid exit. Once again, pretty much matches his best middle sector. Down 1 gear to 3rd. A little bit wobbly. Not too bad through box, the penultimate turn. Down 2 gears to the final turn. That's going to cost him a good couple tenths. And yeah, it didn't carry as much speed as you want through the entry to the final turn or through the mid-turn, but still not too bad a lap. And, well, he pretty much matches. So, very consistent, but he'll probably want to find a tenth or two.
We've also had Brian Walsh jump up to 6th with a 27.59.
Yes,
Not only that, but we've also had Big Dog and Glenn Miles sitting in the pits for some time, obviously feeling confident that they can't go any faster. And both will be looking to have a very strong start to the race.
And well, Brian Walsh has returned back to the pit, so he's obviously, that is his personal best this weekend, so he's quite happy.
As we have Brendon Ross, sorry, good man. He is currently on a very hot lap indeed, setting a 36.2 through the first sector.
Oh, he's run wide at the Goya.
And this is why you don't meet your heroes.
Yes, and yes, he's a tenth down on his own time, 3 tenths down on the whole time, as you see all kinds of dust from Shane Bolger in front. They're not going to, I don't believe they're going to have time. Or Shane Bolger in Scotland. Yes, Bolger. Stoieve Bolger in front. Might cross the line. No, he doesn't. He doesn't cross the line in time, so that's it. He doesn't improve, and Ross doesn't improve, so that is it.
We've also got Ad sitting in 7th. And he's currently on a lap which he will not go better from what it looks like.
He's well down the field, so obviously not quite coming together for him. He was not very good in the final turn there, so whether it's been through mistakes or traffic or something, he's well down the field. He did improve, but not enough to move him up any significant. Well, it didn't move him up any positions at all, so he stays 7th. So, the grid. for race 2. It's right there on your screen. So Stoieve Bolger is 4 from 4 in qualifying sessions. He'll be hoping to convert this one to a victory. Shane Witt, P2. Brendon Ross in P3. Osrob, P4. The Big Duke in P5. Brian Walsh, P6. And Ads, he'll be very disappointed to find himself in P7. So he's going to have to pick his way through the field at the start. And Mike Coulston, P8. And Glenn Miles in P9.
And a quick reminder to our very loyal viewers that if you'd like to keep up with the timing from these races, simply go to amsoz.liveraces.com.
Yep, that's it. And obviously it records all the lap times for each series that is run during the week. So obviously after tonight you'll be able to check results from obviously tonight, and you'll be able to obviously see lap times people have set on the server during the week in the lead up to whatever the next round may be. So obviously this week it will be the Super Series, I believe, on Thursday. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, it will be the Porsche Cup, yes.
The Porsche Cup. I can't remember. Is that at which circuit? I cannot.
That is at the one whose name I can't pronounce.
Pukekohe.
That's my boy.
Yes, the Puke. That will be an interesting run in those cars around that track.
Which will be brilliantly commentated on by all of our dear friend Mr. Stairs and my close personal friend Matt Williams.
Yes, but I don't believe there will be such a enjoyable intro as what we have had, well, with you, Mr. Dreyfus. So, well,
very few things are as enjoyable as myself, good man.
Yes, it will be an enjoyable broadcast. I'm sure it'll be much higher quality, but it won't have the great intro from Mr. Dreyfus. So, we're probably going to tick this over in a few minutes' time. We're just going to take a short break. Obviously, for those that want to grab themselves a drink or need a toilet break, obviously, take that now. We'll be back in a couple moments' time. Hello and welcome back. All cars are, well, they're now all on the grid, and we're just waiting for the officials to allow the drivers to set off on their formation lap for race 2, round 3, season 2 of the Automobilista Australia Rookie Cup. We've got a familiar face on pole position, taking pole position in every single qualifying session he's participated in, but he's still yet to win a race. So Steve Bolger, he'll be hoping to keep it clean, keep it tidy, and stay out in front for this one. That said, he's got Shane Witt behind him. He'll be hoping not to change all 4 tyres, just the front tyres this time around. He's in P2. We've got Brendon Ross. He's probably the one to watch in P3. And we've got Ozrob. He's finally got some laps under his belt. He starts P4, but a bit of a gap between him and Ross in qualifying. Big Dog is a couple tenths shy of Ozrob, but he set a PB and he starts P5. Brian Walsh, he also set a PB. He set a 1 minute 27.592, and that was good enough for P6. Ads had a, fall from grace from qualifying in race 1. He's, don't know what happened, as we see Glenn Miles spin off in the background there. So Ads will start in P7. Mike Coulston, P8, and recovering Glenn Miles after his trip into the grass, he will start in P9. So obviously it was touched on between ourselves who the man to watch is. So Brendan, who and why do you think is the driver to watch in race 2 for you?
Brendon Ross again, I believe, is the driver to watch, because I reckon if he remains consistent, he does have the pace on the front too.
And what about yourself, Dr. Dreyfus? Or is that Lord now?
Mr. Dr. Bobby Dreyfus. I believe that Brendon Ross is obviously the main picking for the win, as he's won the previous 3 races now. But if Mr. Bolger can sort himself out for this race, he has shown exceptional pace and is a force to be reckoned with.
Certainly has, I believe Brian Walsh missed his grid slot there, and he's starting a bit behind on his grid slot as we are away.
A very late start there from Big Dog, missed it by a great margin.
It looks like Ross got a decent start, and we've got three wide into turn 1. Bolger turns in, we've got contact at the back. It's Ads has gone wide. I don't know if he's got too much damage, but
yes, he appeared to go round, and as a result, that seems to have sent Big Dog off the track, who looks to be pulling over.
So perhaps
no, he's just moved to the inside. I do apologise.
Perhaps he made contact with Ads, because the only way to lose it the way Ads did through the braking zone in turn 1, there would have been contact. So perhaps that was why he went round. So we've got Bolger in the lead now. He's kept the lead. He's got Ross behind him, who's moved up in front of Witt. And Witt finds himself down in P3. Ozrob maintained his position. He's got Brian Walsh. He's moved up a position due to who has dropped down. So I believe it was Big Dog. Yes, it was Big Dog that was in front of him. And we've got Shane Witt having a look at Ross. But, not quite close enough to get that job done into box.
Bolger appears to have extended an early lead out to almost 1.5 seconds.
Yes, he's at a trouble-free run so far, while looks like Witt and Ross have been battling, as they're now Ozrob is on the inside, now outside for turn 1. And
it's a bit wide there for Witt, but he does have the better line into the first corner now.
And Brian Walsh is watching these two, so he could move up another spot here. Really, P5 has made it his own for a significant portion of race 1, as we see Rob clip the barrier, tyre barrier there in the exit of turn 1. And
A big slide from Witt there through the second corner, but he's caught it nicely.
Oh, that's going to give Osrob a bit of a chance. There's oh, we see Walsh going for it into turn 3 there. I thought he was going to run into the back of Osrob there, but he pulled it up, and now that's dropped him off the back of Osrob and into the clutches of Mike Coulston, who's having a look to turn 5. So
up the back, we do have Big Dog trying to recover from that early indiscretion into the first corner of the race. He's got past Miles, actually, while I've been distracted trying to think of the appropriate words to describe the situation.
And well, we've cut to the battle to the lead because, well, on this lap, Brendon Ross is 8/10 faster in the first sector than Steve Bolger, but Bolger put 4/10 on Ross in the middle sector. So both are quick, but in different areas. But that gap has
Ross has gone 6/10 faster on that lap.
This is not messing around. And he's brought that gap right down. So you see, he was tipped to be the man to watch in this race. Didn't quite get it right in qualifying, but he's doing well in the race. And Brian Walsh has somehow found his way into P3, and looks like Shane was going to take that off him, so it was short-lived, but he's doing a great job. As Shane went very slow through turn 2, and holding up Walsh, and it's probably going to cost Walsh another position. Oh, as Osrob gives him a bit of a tap into turn 3, so it didn't cost Walsh a position, but it did give him a little bit of damage there, as Witt was very slow through turn 2. As you see, oh, Coulston loses it, and Ads has made his way up to the back of this group after his foray into the grass due to contact at the start.
Bolger again extending that gap back out to over a second through the first and middle sectors. As we have someone off in the background, I believe that was Brian Walsh.
Yes, Brian Walsh has dropped to 5th, and he's probably going to get passed around the outside. No! He's going to get passed on the inside by Ads. No, he's
recovering well from that initial contact.
Yes, he's much faster than these guys, but Brian Walsh is making him earn it, even though he did make a slight mistake. So who breaks the latest? Brian Walsh does. Will he pull it up? He does, but he's not going to get a good line as all. That's runs into the back of him there. That's going to compromise his exit.
3/10 between our leaders on the previous lap in favour of Bolger. But Ross has been very, very fast so far in the first couple of corners of this fourth lap, I do apologise.
He does seem to hook up, especially turn 2. He looks visually quicker through turn 2, so he's just got to, I don't know, maybe watch Bolger through the middle sector and see if he can pick up any tips to what he does to find lap time around here, and just follow him, and then he'll get him in that first sector because he's faster. So that gap is now 6/10 of a second. We'll go back now.
Watching those two, it seems like Ross is much deeper under brakes, whereas Bolger brakes early and kind of drives through the corner.
They're very conservative as opposed to Ross, who just goes for it.
They have managed to extend a very large gap already in the early stages of this race, with Witt just over a second, 7 seconds behind Bolger.
So Ads and Walsh are still battling out, with Walsh still holding P5, so Walsh doing a fantastic job at the moment. But yeah, obviously Bolger and Ross seem to be much more confident in race trim than what Shane Witt is. We sort of did see Shane drop off a little bit in race 1, but not quite to this extent. See, Shane did drop behind this 4-5 car battle group, which has cost him time. He finds himself behind Osrob now, so he's in P4. So he might have made another mistake there.
Seeing just mere tenths between our leaders at the end of each lap. It's a very close battle, and at this stage you'd have to be a very brave man indeed to put money on either of them.
Yes, it's probably going to come down to the pit stop. Whoever gets that in-lap and out-lap right, or whoever picks the right time to pit, will probably come out and win this race. So, do you pit early and try and undercut, or do you stay out a little bit longer hope you don't get traffic. Or hope you don't wreck
Also
your
had
tyres.
Glenn Miles past Big Dog at the rear of the field, so I don't know if that was a mistake by Big Dog or if I missed it.
Doesn't appear to have any significant damage on his car, so perhaps he ran off the road somewhere.
Appears we still have Walsh right on the back of Shane Witt. They're fighting for 4th place.
Well, in fact, he's made time. Obviously, Walsh on that lap set a personal best. The race at 27.6. Well, Shane Witt on that last lap was just waiting for the time to tick over on live races, and I'll be able to tell us. He set a 1:30.1, so he made a mistake in sector 1. So that's where he dropped that position to Osrob, and even so, Brian Walsh was faster in the middle sector, so he's doing a fantastic job so far. And he's put a bit of a gap on Ads at the moment. So just cut to the front once again, and Ross still about half a second, so he's sort of clawed a couple tenths here and there away from Bolger.
Ross is consistently faster in Sector 1, whereas Bolger has him covered in the last part of the track.
To me, it does look as though they are focused mainly on ensuring their lead, rather, and potentially saving the battle until after the pit stop in the final stage of the race.
Well, I don't think they're planning on either of that. I think it's just the fact that these two are just very, very evenly matched.
Yes, but see, what I said sounded better.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, rather.
Bravo, old chap. And, well, I think just in turn 1 alone there, Ross has gained a couple tenths. And he's got a little bit of a slipstream, but he's nowhere near close enough into turn 2. So you're right on board with him. Yes. He takes a better line through turn 2 there, while Bolger puts a little bit extra on his... he gets on the power earlier, so that he would be wearing that front right out a lot more than what Ross would be. Yeah, turn 3 and 4, Ross can't quite get as well. He gets it right, but he doesn't quite do it as well as what Bolger does, and that's why he's put a couple of tenths on him already visually in this lap alone. So we'll drop back, and Osrob's still holding off Shane Witt, and Shane Witt's got Brian Walsh too far behind, and now Ads has caught onto the back of Brian Walsh. And Coulston's made a mistake somewhere. He's now a couple seconds behind this group, as we see the big dog try to make a move on Glenn Miles. He's sort of stuck behind him. He is faster, but he just can't seem to find a way past him at the moment. Like I said, Glenn Miles runs wide. And they're going to be side by side through the final turn as we see Glenn Miles into the pit. So he's the first one to pit, and Big Dog will be happy to see that. That'll give him some free running, and well, he's got 19 seconds to close, or 16 seconds to close.
We've also got Ads all over the back of Brian Walsh coming up to turn 2 and having a look.
Looks like he's going to go for it. Will he get it done? Brian has been very aggressive in this race so far, and in race 1, he's sort of holding on around the outside, but not quite close enough, and Ads once again gets it done. So another great overtake. Walsh made it hard for him, but Ads just too good there, and he moves up to P6.
You did say earlier, Lewis, that Brendon Ross seemed to have the advantage over Steve Bolger through the first corner. And I was just watching them then, and it appears as though Ross's main advantage is he gets a much straighter line for the exit, meaning you can get on the power much sooner.
Yes, you don't want to be... That's something that I've been trying to sort of get to a couple of the drivers when I've been doing the driver coaching, is that it's better to brake a bit later and turn in later, and then just get in the mid corner, get the nose in right up to the curb, as Ross doesn't do it that time. Might have even clipped the barrier there. But yeah,
He certainly did good that.
you want to be turning in later, clipping the curb on the mid corner and then not having to worry about that wall on the right hand side, and you can just well, it gives you a great exit down that straight, which obviously gives you lap time and speed.
We have Shane Witt looking around the outside at turn 2.
And he's ahead, so he's got that done.
He drove it right up by the wall on the exit of turn 1,
But Ross,
looking for a longer exit.
Osrob outbrakes him though, so we saw Shane Witt early in the race was very timid into turn 2 and doesn't get that done.
Brendon Ross runs a little bit wide out of
And
corner I don't know the number of.
it looks like both the leaders are pitting this lap. Both their pit crews are ready. Bolger pits and Ross pits. I would have, if I was one of them, I would have taken the chance to perhaps see what the other guy does and just keep going. Certainly if I was Ross, I would have chanced it.
Yes, I certainly would have kept going, but, well, I have a driver.
Well, it gives him a little bit of a nudge in the entry to the pit lane. So Ross is, he knows where the line is and a lot more aggressive trying to get it done.
Also, Miss Big Dog has got through and done his pit stop and rejoined behind Glenn Miles, so they resume their battle.
Well, we see Ads, Ryan Walsh and Mike Coulson all in the pits, and yes, we cut back and Big Dog is behind Glenn Miles, so perhaps, and Mike Coulson also pits, so perhaps Big Dog...
Our leader's underway. It looks as though Brendon Ross, I'm sorry, he's got a better launch out of his pit box and has surpassed Steve Bolger.
He has, he's got him in the pit stop, so he's remained consistent and his pit crew have done a fantastic job. And yes, he's jumped into the lead. So can Steve Bolger...
He was back up to the pit speed limiter much faster than Bolger managed.
Perhaps he did a little trick that some drivers do in other series, where they turn the pit lane speed limiter on and just rev the hell out of it to get going again, and then putting the limiter back on before they obviously speed in the pit lane. As Ross gets it wide, but Bolger can't really capitalise there. He's very tentative through turn 2, very conservative. And Ross once again runs a bit wide through turn 3.
We have Shane Witt going to pit lane as well.
So it'll be interesting to see where he comes out. Obviously, Walsh, Coulston, Ads, who Ads finds himself behind. Well, Ads must have pitted and changed all 4 tyres, because he finds himself 8 seconds behind Walsh at the moment, or he made a mistake perhaps.
Osrob doing what he did in race 1, which was running quite long compared to everyone else.
It's an interesting tactic, obviously. You're going to have a look at his lap times. Not too bad, so he got 27.9 on that last lap. It was 8 tenths off his personal best, but Ross runs wide. He's on the grass. It's going to give up the lead, so Bolger will retake the effective race lead. They're 20 seconds behind Osrob, but he has to pit, so just too late on the brakes for Brendon Ross after his pit crew did a fantastic job.
I can give you some tyre wear statistics from Mr. Osrob's car, if you'd be so inclined.
That would be fantastic, sir.
Please don't do that again. Yes. His front left tyre currently sits at just over 52%, while his front right tyre is just over 33%. Yes.
Yes, so that's
Well, he thought about going to the pits. He leaned towards it and then decided to stay back out.
Taking a page out of Mercedes' book and throwing the dummy. Yes.
Yes, so that's probably, I reckon that might cost him position to Coulston and Walsh. Obviously, Ads is well, he made a mistake, or he changed all tyres by accident. And same with Shane Witt, because Shane Witt's also behind Walsh and Coulston. So that's cost them quite a bit. As Walsh gets it sideways to the penultimate turn. Coulston runs a bit wide. So, and Ads is well on the grass. It's going to give Shane Witt a good run.
And he's done the fastest middle sector whilst doing that by 2 tenths.
Interesting. Well, that corner actually is part of the final sector. So he'll have a good. He's obviously had a very good middle sector, but his final sector not too good. That said, he did do his personal best at the race of the 27.0, but it could have been significantly better. So, Rob doesn't look to be pitting again. His pit crew aren't ready.
He's clearly going for the advantage towards the end of the race. Where even if he does come back out behind people, if he can deal with them rather quickly, he's coming into the pits, I say!
No, he's coming into the pits. His pit crew aren't going to be ready, and will cost him a little bit of time. But the thing with pitting late is that you don't want to leave it too late, where you can't take advantage of having the newer tyres either. So you probably should have come in a lap earlier.
Yes, you do ideally want to catch up to the people that you are racing, if you do run longer, because you will certainly come out behind them. But while you still have enough tyre that you can continue to push.
Yes, so he's changed the front tyres, that's for sure. So Steve Bolger sets the fastest lap and retakes the lead. Walsh is currently coming up to the final turn.
Whilst Bolger did the fastest lap of the race, Brendon Ross has done the fastest final sector on that lap as well.
So we have Rob underway again. Sorry to come across you there.
And Walsh is going to take that position, and Coulston should as well. Oh, as they almost run into each other, and Walsh got a little bit sideways. So Rob, who was in front of them, staying out did not help.
Ryan Walsh in third place, I say.
So he's got 4 laps to hold on, and it'll be he'll be stoked if he can hold on to that. He's certainly deserved it. He's done very well in race 1, as we see.
As Rob has gone very sideways and gone onto the grass to the inside of all things.
And that's going to give Ads P5. Yeah, it does. And now Shane Witt's going to be all over the back of him. So it's a costly couple of corners, or costly couple of laps there for Ozrob, pitting earlier.
Brendon Ross also made a mistake in the middle sector, costing him another second back to first place.
Yes, so he's still not too far behind Steve Bolger at 26.2. So he's pushing hard at the moment, as we've got Cone just inside the racing line at turn 1 there.
As we were saying as he came into the pit stop about Ozrob, his issue now is that he'll use most of his tyre advantage just trying to get through his opponents rather than pulling away from them.
So all it would have taken is just pitting probably 1 lap earlier, and then probably didn't help that he didn't obviously tell his pit crew that he's pitting. That generally does cost you a good 3 or 4 seconds as well. So that certainly wouldn't have helped, but this battle pack is very interesting. I don't think Walsh...
Mike Coulston very close to Brian Walsh, yes.
And having a look.
He's going to go for it for P3. Walsh is very aggressive through here.
Contact!
They were warned not to really overtake into that corner, but no one's listened. And
that is the end of Walsh's charge for his, I believe, first ever podium.
Yes, that would have been a podium, his first ever. Unfortunately, he finds himself down in 7th now, but that said, there's still racing to go. And,
as we've seen in prior Rookies Cup races, anything can happen.
That's it. These guys will hold each other up. Obviously, Coulston is slower than Ads for 3rd, so if they battle it out, as Walsh goes off again, so he's got to get his head back in the game if he wants to move up a spot or 2. Oh, as we see, I think there was contact there between Ads and Coulston, as Coulston runs off the road, and now all 4 of them are together. So Coulston breaks late into the final turn, outbroke himself, and Ads goes straight back up the inside, but now he's gone wide on the exit, and it's going to give Coulston a good run into turn 1. And now Ozrob is right behind him, and so is Shane Witt, as once again Walsh has got to get his head in the game, because he could catch them if he doesn't keep throwing it off the road.
So we've also seen, I believe, Brendon Ross has begun closing in this gap to Steve Bolger. It's now down to 1.5 seconds as Ross has run off the road. I don't know if that's how I normally say it in my accent, but I've been talking like this for some time.
Well, the gap is, well, it was down to 1.3, but obviously at the last split, obviously lost a little bit more time there, so First sector this time around from Ross. Not up to his
Ozrob
usual
and
standards.
Coulston battling for third place. Coulston's gone back 2 spots.
And as he's run off the road there, and that's allowed all of them through. And Walsh is now 8.6 behind this group, so he's ruined any chance he had of really getting these positions back, or joining this battle back, barring a big collision between all of them, which is unfortunate because he's doing really well. Obviously, contact into turn 2, ruining his race. As we see Ozrob having a look on the inside into Victoria on ads.
Only 2 laps left to go.
Yep, 2 laps to go.
The gap at the front is staying about that 1.3 second range.
And Ross getting a bit sideways at turn 2 there, so all Bolger has to do is got a lap and a half now to hold on.
Shane Witt looking up the inside of Ozrob. They're now side by side down the straight towards turn 2.
I believe Shane Witt will probably get that position. Oh, no, he won't. I was wrong. Well, who's going to break later here? It's going to be Ozrob. Once again, Shane Witt is very conservative into that turn 2. Obviously, he doesn't want a repeat of...
Coulston in the background running well off the road at turn 2.
It's well off, and that could give Walsh a position. No, Walsh is too far back. But,
Our leaders just coming through the final corner now, about to begin their final lap of the race.
and,
Looks as though, excluding any potential mistakes, as though Bolton has got this one wrapped up in a neat little package.
Yes, there's 2/10 faster on that lap. But we have seen Bolger make mistakes in every race so far. He hasn't done so this time around, but still 3/4 of a lap to go. He'll be hoping not to, but you just never know. And, we go back, and Ozrob, Shane Witt still battling it out. They've got ads just in front of them. So you see Shane Witt having a look into turn 1. But thinks better of it. Ad's a bit slow through turn 1 there, and Ozrob's gained a little bit on him there.
Oh, as Brendon Ross has run off, and his final real chance of perhaps even being there to capitalise on a mistake for Bolger seems to have gone out the window.
Yes, so barring mistake, Stoieve should take his first victory in the Rookie Cup. He's got only 1 corner to go now, with Brendon Ross 2.2 seconds behind him.
And having run wide again.
He's probably pushing a little bit too hard now, is Ross. So, out of the final turn, Bolger crosses the line, doesn't celebrate at all, no flashing lights, no moving over to the pit wall until after the start-finish line. Ross, P2, continues his fantastic form. He'll be ruining running wide at turn 1. But
Go back to continue watching this battle with the final podium position. It looks as though Ads has made it through the final corner successfully.
Yeah, had that off. It might have been contact with Big Dude at turn 1, or just prior to turn 1, but he's fought back brilliantly from last to third. So we'll be happy with that fight back. And Ozrob, 4th place, could have been higher. Obviously, don't know if it was, obviously his pit crew weren't quite ready, and he probably pitted too late, which cost him. And Shane Witt, P5, once again, he could have been a little bit higher, but very conservative in the race, and he dropped 3 spots from obviously starting on the front row. Mike Coulston, once again, missing a wheel. And
Brian Walsh, after only making rarely one mistake throughout that race, has crossed the line in P7.
Yes, he was in a podium position there with 3 laps to go, but contact with believe Mike Coulston. I can't remember.
Yes, it was Coulston in the second corner.
Yes, at turn 2, which drivers were advised to probably take it easy through there, but you did see numerous overtakes in there, and contact, and sent Walsh off the road and down to P7. But once again, he should take only positives from this round, from both races, as he drove fantastically well. The big Duke, he had a race to forget. Obviously, incident at turn 1, I believe, and then dropped through the field, and he battled Glenn Miles for a portion of that race, and got the better of him and finished 8th, and then Glenn Miles P9. But that's 3 races in a row. It's all of this round both races in this round, we've had everyone finish, so that's good to see. And hopefully that continues. So once again, congratulations, Steve Bolger taking his first victory, Ross taking the victory in race 1. So we'll cut to you, Dr. Dreyfus. Who was your driver of race 2?
Well, in that race, Steve Bolger with an exceptional performance to take the win. He showed very good mental fortitude when needed, and was very consistent, and was able to, in the end, capitalize on some minor mistakes from his opponent and cross the line first.
Certainly. And what about you, Brenton Foley? Who was your driver of race 2?
Steve Bolger did a really good job to keep his cool and win the race, but my driver of race 2 goes to Ads after staying consistent after getting caught up in an incident in turn 1, lap 1. He just played the recovery card the whole race and got himself back onto the podium.
It's obviously a couple fantastic overtakes, and took what was there and then held on at the end to take P3 after battling his way through he was last, and he was last by about 10 seconds, so very good effort from him. So I'd once again sort of a bit of a split decision. It'd be out of Ads for his fight back, but obviously Steve Bolger too, he did a fantastic job in race 2. Obviously he didn't make a mistake. Obviously got jumped in the pit stop, but kept his cool and kept it clean, and finally got his breakthrough win.
Rather.
Yes, bravo. So we have been joined by race 1 winner Brendon Ross, and obviously podium getter in race 2. So Rossi, you didn't seem to qualify particularly well, especially in race 1, where you're looking like you're going to set a very quick time, but stuffed it up in the final sector. But race 1 seemed to come up trumps for you.
But it did. It just fell into my hands, really. It was a close battle between the top 3, so I thought I'd just take my chance and hold back, and it seemed to work. So that was the way I won that race.
Yes, and obviously race 2, you had a fantastic battle with yourself and Stoieve. Nothing really between it. You held with him throughout the opening stint, jumped him in the pit stop, but it was the unfortunate mistake into turn 1 let him back through.
Yeah, so I was trying to. I assume we were both waiting for those pit stops to come so we could battle it out for the first stop, and the second stint. But I was surprised to jump him in the pits, and then really just from there I just didn't have the pace on him. He was pretty too quick for me there.
Yes. So Dr. Dreyfus or Brenton Foley, do you guys have any questions for our podium getter and championship leader?
Not currently.
What the hell do I pay you guys for?
Excuse me, all of our viewers came along purely because of me.
Was there anything different you did in the pit stop that you believe got you the jump?
I'd like to ask you the same question.
Good question.
Thank you. Thought of it on my own.
Sounded like it. Not really. I think I tried to get really close to Stoieve into the pits then, and that seemed to work then. I think I must have switched the pit limiter off, which that might have helped me a little bit, and then I was scared for my life that I sped in the pits, so that might have been the only thing that made it different.
From what I saw, it looked like your car actually dropped a tiny bit before you, so you might have got to your box first as well.
Yes, I think I only just got him into my box as he went into his box, so that might have just been the difference there.
Well, your boxes were pretty much right next to each other, almost on top of each other. I didn't think you'd be able to get out without making contact with him. So you did. You obviously stopped first. Your pit crew did a great job and got you out in the nick of time. It's just a shame you couldn't quite hold on to the lead, but still, a first and a second, you're in great form at the moment.
Yes, can't complain. So doing heaps better than I did last year. So just got to keep it going.
Certainly. I believe you've even won back the hero tag from Matt Williams, I believe, as well, which is big news. No, I believe so.
Here comes some crappy rounds.
All right, Rossi, once again, congratulations on the race 1 victory, and well done again on a fantastic race 2.
Thank you. Thanks for the call. Thanks for hosting it. He's done well.
All right, and we've been joined by, I believe, Ads has joined us. Dr. Dreyfus, do you have any questions for our podium getter in race 2?
Not currently, no, but I do have some for Brian Walsh when we get around to that. Yes.
Okay, well, Foley, what about yourself? Do you have any questions for Ads?
More just clarifying what happened at turn 1, race 1. I saw it looked like contact, but is that what it was? For race 2, sorry.
Trying to think which one it was. Race 2?
Yeah, race 2, turn 1.
Oh, I don't recall, to be honest.
Fair enough. But obviously, race 1, you had both races for you had a bit of an action-packed race, but you were so close to taking the win in race 1. You did your best to hold on. Obviously, lost the lead twice, but spectacularly regained the lead. What was your thinking behind both the overtakes to retake the lead in race 1?
I knew I didn't have the pace. I was just trying to drive with my elbows out as much as I could to try and hold them off, and then seen that a little bit heavy into the corner, so I just tried the old undercut, and it worked. So no one crashed.
Yes, obviously you got your elbows out, but nobody got clipped, so that was good to see. Obviously good hard racing and some good overtakes, and then obviously in race 2, obviously start didn't quite go to plan. And qualifying didn't seem to go to plan either, as you didn't qualify too well, down in 7th place, I believe. But you're 10 seconds off the rest of the field, or something close to that anyway. But you fought back to 3rd. What was your thinking when you were, obviously after that that incident at the start there? Did you think you'd get 3rd?
No, I just tried to just try and get back into the rhythm of the race and that, and then all of a sudden, it sort of opened up, and I thought, maybe I can get 3rd here, so pushed hard, and eventually got there. So I was pretty happy with it, to be honest. In the end, that was pretty good.
See, a couple podiums, both well deserved, and once again, congratulations, a solid round from you. So I'm sure you'll be looking to build on obviously this round into the future rounds.
Yeah, definitely. Just need to pick up a little bit more speed, a bit more consistency, and I'll be happy.
That's it. And once again, congratulations on your double podium.
Thanks, fellas.
So, as was alluded to earlier by Dr. Dreyfus, we have been joined by Brian Walsh. So, Dr. Dreyfus, what is your question for Mr. Walsh?
Excellent question from you there as well, Lewis. Yes. Mr. Walsh.
Yes?
Yes, how are you, sir? This isn't my actual question. I'm just being a good neighbour.
I'm all right, yeah.
That's what we want to hear, my good man.
Yeah.
Now, we saw an excellent drive from you, especially in the first race, getting to 5th position.
Yes.
An excellent performance, and in 3rd place in the second race until a small mistake led to you going off the track.
Yes.
It was alluded to during the broadcast that perhaps your seemingly vast boost in performance was caused by you pulling out of some other series and focusing on a very select few. Would you say this has been key in your races this evening?
Yes, and I would say that, I'm happy because I'm improving with the mid-pack runners, so I can race them a bit, but why I went off in the second race was, because I was in third place, and I said, "Oh shit, I'm scared what sort of questions you're going to ask me in the post-race interview."
Only excellent ones, my good man.
Yeah, and I lost the concentration, and that was it. But there was 4 of us in the second race that were having a really good tussle together. But I knew I couldn't hold Oz Rob off because he had newer tyres, and Shane was probably faster than me, but he kept going off. So I tried to, and then after you have a lose and you lose about 4 places, you get the I don't give a toss sort of thing. I can't go anywhere.
Very quickly prevented yourself from swearing there, my good man. Very impressive, yes.
Yeah, but that was well. Oh, and Lewis's coaching, that was very good. But then when you go into race mode, it all goes out the door. You forget it, and you just try and keep your position. But yeah, it was good tonight. Nice, clean racing. Hopefully, next round we can have a few more numbers back. And
It was very good to see you as well, getting the elbows out a bit more and becoming much more aggressive than we've seen you previously.
Oh yeah, but it's aggressive. Yeah, but you got to be careful about not being too aggressive. Otherwise, you end up in the steward's room.
Yes, that is true.
Been there, done that. Been there, done that. Sat in the corner. Didn't want to do it again. So sometimes you got to give up a place just to make sure that you don't lose 4.
I rather enjoyed seeing you get the elbows out and making some really good passes in race 1.
Yeah, that was good. So yeah, but thanks to everyone. I'd like to thank my sponsors, Jim's Mowing.
No. For licensing reasons, we can't have any brand names.
We're not the ABC.
Yes, but they're almost as bad.
All right. Oh, well, that was a good night, yeah. And I'm just focusing on this and the ATCC and something else, WEC. And that's all I'm doing because I'm shit at the rest.
It appears as though your preferential series are all abbreviations.
Yeah. So that's good. And thank you for that, Dr. Bobby Dreyfus.
Well, once again, obviously a couple solid races, Walshy. Hopefully that continues in the future. Obviously, after going off when you were in third position, obviously you did make a couple of mistakes as you alluded to, but I think obviously that'll be a learning curve in future because had you not made obviously the mistakes after that, you probably were in with a good chance of probably getting a position or even at least getting onto the back of that group before in front of you.
Yeah, but it was a bit of a case. I looked up and I was 29 seconds behind, in front of the person in front of me, and I thought the others were 8 seconds. But you're right. If I'd sort of focused again, I probably would have got close. Probably wouldn't have passed them, but they would have slowed each other up, and I would have got closer. And then each time you go off, you get madder with yourself, and you do swear.
Yeah, well, perhaps obviously that'll be a lesson, obviously for next time. That even though you are a fair way off with a few laps to go, sometimes it's just worth it just to keep focused until the end of the race. Because they did hold each other up quite a bit. They were, I think, at one point, I think all of them were trying to make an overtake on each other. So obviously next time, I think. Just keep focused towards the end, and who knows? You might nick a position right in the end there. So, but
all right. And thanks everyone, and thanks for the commentary. And I'll have to go and watch the replay.
No worries. All right. So
that's good night from me, and good night from him.
That concludes the interviews. So for those that are still watching, this week, in the coming week. We have on Thursday night. We have the Porsche Porsche Cup, I guess we can call it, on Thursday night at Pukekohe or the Puke. That'll be an interesting round. Obviously, very bumpy at turn 1 for those that haven't driven the track before. And then on Sunday night we have the WEC from Spa, which I believe is 90 minutes. And on Monday night, we have the Automobilista Australia Touring Car Championship from Taruma with the chicane. So we hope to see you all for those. Obviously, Stairs and Nether doing the Porsches 4 Series and the WEC, and you'll be joined by me once again on Monday night. But thanks for tuning in, and we hope to see you all next time out.